coming to you from the pit in Arroyo Grande, California. Your hosts, John Hackleman and Dr. James Kasper. It's time for Pitmaster and the Doc.
Here. I'm here with the Doc.
John, good to see you.
Good to see you. Even though we see each other every day.
It's good to see you anyway, man. You've been gone. You're fresh off a trip.
I was on a trip. I was in San Diego doing I did a presentation for a seminar called Think Better, Live Better, put on by Mark and Angel. That's Mark with a C. One of the best websites out there. It will make your life better. markandangel.com.
How'd you find your way into that?
I don't know. I think I bought one of their products a long time ago, and I don't know how we got in touch, but we've been in touch. And they live in Florida. And once I was in Florida, they came to visit. We did lunch, and we're kind of in touch. And then they asked me to do a speech at their presentation. There's like 15 speakers, and if you look at the lineup of speakers, it was like productivity hacks, how to think your way into happy, the magic questions to ask yourself to be happy, yoga, just those kind. And then there was me.
What'd you talk about?
Don't let anyone take your lunch money. So like mine was like Debbie Downer. Wow. It was like everybody was like, yeah, productivity, and they're dancing, and there's like a bunch of people there, and then I go up and I'm like, don't let anyone take your lunch money. Kick him in the fucking ass. And they're like sitting there like, so it was actually a big success. But so I got to do that this weekend in San Diego. Beautiful hotel. It's called the Catamaran Resort, and I recommend that place to anyone. It was like in Mission Bay or Mission Beach, and it was right like near Pacific Beach.
It overlooks the bay.
It overlooks the bay, but then you walk for 5 minutes, you're at the beach. So it's a beautiful hotel, beautiful grounds, and I like the town. There's a cute little town. There's an actual little restaurant called the Truck Stop, and it was a little breakfast place, and we ate, and we had a good time. I brought the wife. Oh, and there's ducks walking all over the place, and then there's some parrots, and I went to hang out with the parrots, and the lady came out, and she was like, these parrots are smart. She was like, what does a dog say? And the parrot, ruff, ruff, ruff. What does a sheep say? Bah. And then she said, what do humans say? And the parrot went, blah, 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 blah. It was a pretty cute parrot. So that's where it went.
So are you going back? You do it again?
I will do it. They asked me to do it again next year, so I will do it again. It was like how to keep your lunch money. I mean, check this out. People spend like 10 minutes a day to brush their teeth, so they might not get a cavity, right? But they won't even spend like 2 or 3 minutes a day practicing some simple self-defense moves so they don't end up in a coffin or in a nursing home in a coma. I mean, the stakes are so much higher, and it's so crazy. People send their kids to go to swimming lessons so they might not drown, because about 3 kids a year drown in the United States. 5 million kids a year get seriously bullied, and how many parents send their kids to self-defense? So it's kind of weird. Like, take them to swimming, brush their teeth. But self-defense, which is a part of, fight or flight, those are the 2 biggest things in the world.
You can teach them to run, too.
Yeah, you can teach them to run.
That would be the flip side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I saw it. So I want to see the video.
The video's coming out in about a week or so.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to that. Well, it's good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks.
Is it weird that I was texting you that I missed you while you were gone?
No, because status quo. Heather thinks that we have an affair right now. In fact, I call him James. He calls himself Jim. I don't know why. But so when Heather says his name, instead of James, because I call him James, she calls him James.
That sounds like a hate crime.
No, it's like she's bitter and she's jealous of our relationship. I don't blame her, because I give more attention and sexual fantasies about him than I do my own poor wife, and she knows that because sometimes I'll say James during the weird times.
She's like a side chick.
And you're the fluffer.
All right. Anyway, what were we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about UFC 221, and it was a good card.
This was in Australia. Man, the fans in Australia are crazy. I want to go see a fight in Australia after watching that.
You know what's better? Okay, the fans in Ireland are really crazy, but they misbehave and they do douchey things.
Right, this wasn't like that.
No, they have the energy, but they're classy.
To watch the fights, like every punch that landed or takedown that got defended by the Australian, the crowd went nuts for every move. It was really cool to see. I would totally want to. I want to be an Australian fight fan now.
Australia they have a great bunch of guys. Look at, I mean, we're not going to jump around to the fights, but the eye poke victim was Australian. He didn't even complain. He gets eye gouged, like his eyes are going to pull out.
The picture there.
See right there? Yeah, he gets eye gouged. He didn't say a word while it was happening, a word after it happened, and after the fight, during the interview, instead of going, yeah, my eyes, I could barely see. Because he told his corner, they said, are your eyes blurry? And he said, yeah. Okay, so he didn't tell that to the referee. He didn't even say it to the post-fight interview, like, yeah, my eyes are blurry and I still won. I mean, I would have bragged about that.
The fighters in general were respectful. Not just him, but they had good attitudes. And I don't know, I thought, the other thing about the crowd, they were really into all the fights, which was really cool. But also, they're making these weird noises. They're making like these whoop whoop noises. Stuff. Yeah, it was funny, like back and forth in the crowd. I don't know. It seemed like a fun atmosphere to go see a fight to me.
Because Australians are like, because kind of like Hawaii-ish, because there are Polynesians there and a lot of Caucasians, but they seem to blend better. Like the Australians and I don't know that for 100% fact. I've been there a couple times and I've met a few Australians, but I know there's like a division in Hawaii, like. And but in Australia they seem to meld better. But anyway, so let's go into the fights. First fight of the main card was Tyson Pedro against Saporek.
He's from Russia, and you couldn't look more Russian than that guy.
No, and he was pretty tough. I think it was the second round when he got caught, right?
It was a submission.
Yeah.
In round one.
Oh, it was round one. Okay.
It was a Kimura.
Yeah, it was a brutal Kimura, and he started off. It was really cool because Tyson was winning, and you could tell Tyson's made a lot of changes in his game, and he's really good. I think he's a training partner of Tahuna, who is one of my favorite Australian fighters. And Tahuna's not fighting anymore. He retired. I think he helps train the guys. And Tyson Pedro, I think his heritage or his ethnicity originally is, I think he's part Samoan. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, whatever he is, he can fight, man. And he was winning with a stand-up because he was hitting harder. But he also had really good takedowns, and he was being taken down or defending a takedown, and he reached around, got a standing Kimura, tweaked it up, it hit the ground, he was on the bottom, he rolled it to the top, brought his foot around the neck, synced it in, and got a tap, and it was a beautiful, I'm sure he got submission of the night.
To watch the display, I don't know if he did, but to watch how that was done, it was just pretty technical, and it was very cool. Very cool to see that. And then after his post-fight interview, I don't know if you watched that, but he's a pretty funny guy.
Yeah.
He was talking about going and drinking beers and riding his bike too fast, and hopefully getting on the Joe Rogan podcast. That was his hope and dream after winning this fight. So that was pretty cool. I thought he had a great personality. His post-fight interview was the best.
I could see that. He'd have to fly to LA, but yeah. With that, I'm sure Joe Rogan. Was Joe Rogan? He wasn't even.
No, he wasn't announcing.
He wasn't announcing this fight. That's weird. But anyway, because there's a pay-per-view. But I don't think he does pay-per-views out of country anymore. But anyway, the submission was so beautiful. And it was so beautifully timed, and he did it so beautifully all the way to the end. He held that Kimura through a few different position. So I'm sure he got submission of the night. But anyway,
he should have. He did in our book.
he
That
did
was
not.
a good fight. It was entertaining. It was over quick, but it was a good fight, and the local guy won that one.
Yeah.
So the next one was Matthews. This is the one you were just talking about. Matthews and Jing Liang from China.
Matthews is one of my favorite fighters now. After this fight, I didn't even really know much about him before, but watching this guy get his eye gouged, it was getting gouged, and he didn't complain. He just he let go of the submission because
Matthews had him in a guillotine.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
looked like it was deep, like it could end the fight.
Yeah. So this guy fought to get out of it. Who knows if he did it intentionally? It looks like he might have, but I mean, when you're getting choked in that position there, like you can see, like right here. I mean, that's the guy's neck, and his head is being tweaked, and he's probably in a lot of discomfort and fear, and he's panicking. So he brings his hands around to try to cross face and try to get a better position. And his fingers ended up in Jake's eyes. So the referee said stop, and he stopped. But by then, Jake had already lost his position, because who's going to hold on to a position if it means you might lose an eye?
I think before this, too, he got warned because he was, like, grabbing Jake's gloves.
Oh, yeah.
So he was already doing something. The referee was on him. This was interesting to watch because his fingers are, like, in his eye socket, and the referee's right there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't... I don't know if he didn't want to break it up because the guy had a choke. I don't know. It was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. What I think should have happened...
He could have pulled his hand off, I guess.
I think hindsight would have told me, stop, stand them both up, tell that guy to stop, give him a verbal warning, and then start him again in that same position.
So for me, it's different than an eye poke. Like an eye poke where you're jabbing or you're defending yourself or your finger goes in somebody's eye, you could pretty reasonably say that's an accident. This, I think he's trying to get out of being choked. So
Yeah.
I think he's eye gouging him. Whether or not that's the fight or flight mode. You think you're going to die or whatever, you got your fingers in the guy's eye. But if you're going to have a sport and you're going to have rules, I don't know how much more of a foul you need to commit before you get a point taken away.
Yeah, I'll go both ways on that one. I could see a point getting taken away, but I could also see a warning because he did stop the second he told him to stop. But the thing about what I would have done, like I said, I would have stopped it and I would have taken, I would have started him in the same position. So, but anyway, he didn't. It was a spur of the moment. I mean, it was a split second thing, and I mean, I'm not gonna blame the ref. If his eye came out, I probably would. If it was my fighter, and he let go of the position, I probably would have complained about that and made him start back in that position, especially after the camera saw it. And I don't know if Australia is one of those places where you can use the camera and video footage to make calls for the referee. I don't know if he can do that in Australia, but I definitely would have. I would have done it. I would have stopped it, warned that guy, the Chinese guy, Lee, and then I would have started them back in the exact same position.
Two of the judges scored this 30-26. Two of them. So I don't know if they took their own point away for that or what they did, but there was definitely a 2-point round there.
Yeah, that's just because he had him hurt or had him in trouble. The judges cannot take a point away unless the referee does. They can't take their own point away.
I don't know. The other thing about this fight that I find interesting is, he committed a pretty obvious foul that was pretty brutal, and then he got a $50,000 bonus for fight, not for his performance, but for fight of the night. Both fighters get a bonus, and they called this fight of the night, and they gave the guy who did that foul $50,000. So I don't know what that does for the sport when you have rules and you break them and you still win a bonus. That seems counterintuitive to me.
But the referee's in charge, and the referee didn't even take a point away, so they can't say, well, he didn't get he shouldn't get 50 grand because he got a point taken away or he got disqualified. Even the referee didn't take a point away, so they can't take it upon themselves to say they have to go with what the referee says.
I know, and you don't know his motivation. If he did it on purpose, it's very unsportsmanlike.
Yeah.
If it was an accident or he's just fighting for his life, stuff happens. And you're right. Matthew's reaction to the whole thing was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He basically said, stuff happens. I don't hold it against him.
He basically said, I was choking him so tight. I mean, his fight or flight kicked in. I'm paraphrasing. His fight or flight kicked in, and that's what he did. He probably panicked, and I don't think he meant to do it. How many fighters would say that? This guy is like... Jake Matthews is one of my favorite fighters right now. Just the way he handled himself because of that. And he's a freaking banger, too. I mean, he went at that fight. So, I mean, I'm glad he won. It would have been a travesty and a crime if he did poke the eye and do all that and he got out of the choke and then Lee ended up winning. I would have, if I was the corner of then, I would have been at the commission's office with a letter right away.
I think he should write him a nice apology letter. I think that's a way to solve this. that puts an end to it. Apologize to Jake Matthews. All right.
Yeah, Lee.
He should apologize.
Because plus, he was actually grabbing his gloves to try to get a better positioning on the ground, too. And Jake had to tell the ref, hey, bro, I hate to complain. I'm not a complainer. But this guy's actually grabbing my glove, which is illegal. You can grab your own glove. You can grab your own shorts to better your position. Right? You can even grab your own beard if you want to. But you can't do any of the above to your opponent. So just a word out there.
Yeah,
word to the wise.
Interesting. So, and this is a technique in the street that would probably work pretty well.
And see, that, if you want to go to my Sensei UFC, I am going to do this is going to be in my Sensei UFC, this eye gouge, because it shows how very, very effective eye gouging is in the street.
It's effective in the UFC.
And
you don't get a point taken away, and you get out of a choke. I think you're going to see more eye gouges after that.
You're not gonna let that one go.
As a doctor, John, I can't let that one go. His eye could be injured for the rest of his life.
You're not like an optometrist or anything.
That's true.
There's no bones involved.
No, there is in the last fight. All right, we talked enough about that one. So the next one, the Australian, I think these are heavyweights, right? Yeah. So Tuivasa and Asker, or however you say his name. I think he's French.
Cyril, probably.
Big boys.
Yeah. Heavyweight fight. I think he's undefeated, 9-0.
He's 9-0 now.
Went right at the guy. His power, his techniques. He doesn't like to go to the ground. He just beat him up standing. The only thing that semi-bothered me about this was, I don't know, he just didn't seem... he was talking about himself in the third person.
Oh, I didn't see that. In the interview?
Yeah. I forget his nickname. What was his nickname like? But anyway, I think he's a Samoan, and
he's Bam Bam.
Bam Bam, yeah, Bam.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he said something like, "Yeah, Bam Bam did this" or something. So, but he definitely
did do that though.
Yeah, he has the power. He has the speed.
So he's 9-0 and his record's like 9 knockouts in the first round.
Yeah,
they're all knockouts in the first round. That's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna climb that ladder real quick.
So he's like 2 or 3 minutes into the fight.
Yeah.
The best part of this fight was not in the fight. If you watched it, it was after the fight. He's walking to the locker room or the dressing room, whatever.
Oh, I saw that.
And he drinks an entire beer out of someone's shoe. I don't know if that's something you do in Australia. It seemed really gross.
That's something nobody should do anywhere. But he did it. Yeah, it was like he held the shoe up. It was like a sneaker, and he drank a beer out of the sneaker. Please don't ever try that at home. I hope my kids never do that.
Recommended.
No.
And then they showed it on TV,
yeah.
like showing him chug a whole beer out of the guy's shoe. Just some fan.
Yeah,
apparently.
some random fan. Hope he doesn't.
I don't know. The crowd liked it.
But let me tell you, this guy hits fucking hard, and this other guy, Cyril, can take a punch because he took like 22 punches before the referee finally stopped it.
I think this was a fight too with the elbows.
Yeah, he landed a couple of solid right elbows,
Yeah.
but it didn't even cut the guy. That Cyril guy's tough. I don't know what his record. Check out that guy's Cyril's record.
I don't know. He's tough.
He's tough as nails. Cyril is tough as nails. I hope he's back. He's 9-4. Okay, I hope he comes back because he definitely.
The UFC summary of him is good chin. I think that's an understatement.
Yeah, he has a chin. He's like a George Chevalier chin.
Also they were talking about how in France MMA is illegal, so he can't fight in his home country. He's
That'd
from
be
France.
messed up.
He's doing a sport that's illegal where he's from. That's interesting. Anyway.
I remember when it was illegal here. We got busted once, and we had to the cops came. We had to it was like turning the light on, and all the cockroaches spread. They're we had a fight, underground fight. We had to all disappear. But anyway, yeah, it used to be illegal here, and it's not. That's terrible. That would be like, what if honestly, and this is a terrible thought, what if being heterosexual was illegal? Anyway, something to think about. Anyway, what other fight do we got? Just a little random thought, guys.
So the next fight was a co-main or whatever this was, but it was Mark Hunt. It was love there, obviously, against Curtis Blades.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like this fight?
First of all, this shows how much respect Mark Hunt gets. This younger guy, 20 years younger, taller, more athletic, he refused. I mean, he did everything in his power to not stand up with Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt, all he did, every time Mark fought his way back up, he would just rush back in and take him down. So that shows a lot of respect for Mark Hunt. It made for kind of a boring-ish fight, but if I was Curtis Blades' corner, I would tell him the exact same thing. Great strategy, brilliant strategy. He worked really well with it. Great takedowns. Got nothing but mad respect for his skill. But I want to see someone stand with Mark, because that's what Mark does.
Well, you know who would have won that fight?
Yeah.
Mark Hunt would have won.
Yeah, that's why.
In fact, I think in round 1, didn't he? He had him hurt.
He
bad.
dropped him.
He had him hurt fight over bad, and then somehow Curtis
took him down.
Came out of it, took him down. He took him down 10 times in the fight, including the slam that was pretty net to pick up Mark Hunt and slam him.
Yeah,
that was
he's
pretty
265. Insane. So, yeah, I didn't like the fight. I wish they pick just the matchmaking. I think they should. Mark doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. Okay, we know that. So match him with someone that's gonna stand more.
You know what Mark has though?
What?
His ability to get up.
Yeah.
Every time he got taken down, he got to his feet. I mean, almost every time he was able to get up, but then and then immediately he would get taken down.
Yeah.
Again.
So.
But the amount of energy that must take to get up with that guy on you, he did it over and over and over. So his ability to get up was there, but he just couldn't stop the takedown.
No, and I think that says a lot about how good Curtis Blades is. Let me see his record. Does it show his record?
The fight a heavyweight fight on the ground is boring.
Let me see. Does it show his opponents?
Yeah. He won his last 3.
Oh yeah. Let me see before that. So he won his last 3. Oh, and then he lost to.
He lost to Ngannou. That was his. Oh, he had a no contest and then another win. So the last one he lost was to Ngannou.
Yeah, and that was one. Oh, okay. 2000.
That was a doctor stoppage.
Yeah. So this guy has really good wrestling, and I wish he would have stood with Mark. That would have been a much more exciting, interesting fight. And he made for a boring fight, but a smart fight. And I don't hold that against him, because that's the only way he could have won this fight. But to me, it shows 2 things. He's a great wrestler, great takedowns, and a smart fighter. But it showed to me, the most it shows is Mark Hunt at 40-some years old. This guy could have been his son, basically. But he's feared. He's still so feared that nobody wants to stand with him. Nobody wants to stand in front of him and bang, because they will get knocked out. That speaks volumes about Mark Hunt. Nothing against Blades, but to me, this fight was all about the respect and Mark Hunt and how hard he hits, and
he proved it in round 1.
Yeah. So
I think heavyweights on a ground fight was kind of
boring.
You're not going to see a great. I don't know. In that fight, we weren't seeing a great submission or anything.
Yeah.
And then the fight that Whitaker's supposed to be in, the main fight, was Yoel Romero, and Luke Rockhold.
Okay. which would have been a good fight. And this one started off pretty good. I don't know. I mean, he got caught. That's all. He got caught with an overhand left. Luke did in the third round. Up until then, I think it was really close. I think Luke might have won the first round by a little bit. Second round was pretty even. And the third round, boom, he got caught with an overhand left. And he just went to
followed it up with another left when he was already out.
Yeah.
He was out and got another clean shot in.
Yeah, so he was knocked out cold. And
I think watching the fight, Luke, obviously his leg kicks were pretty devastating. He kicked Romero so hard that he cut his own shin open. In the first round, he was bleeding the rest of the fight.
Yeah, by the check. Yeah,
from that leg check.
When you kick someone and they check it, your shins bang together, but the kicker gets hurt more than the checker. So when you see two guys and one guy checking, the guy that's kicking, it hurts more than the guy checking. In fact, if they check it just right, you end up like Chris Weidman did to Silva, and there's some other fights that we can name, but the kicker gets hurt more. So leg kicking can be dangerous. I mean, you can get hurt physically, like it physically hurts, the pain, and you can get hurt, like you can break your bone. So I don't know.
This went into round 3, and I think that happened in round 1. Did you see Yoel Romero at the end of the fight? He couldn't stand.
Oh yeah.
He had to do his interview sitting on the canvas.
Oh, because the leg kicks.
He couldn't walk on his leg at all. They had to help him out of the ring. But I think that happened early because Luke kicked him several times that looked really bad. Those leg checks in the beginning, but it didn't come around. It didn't bother him till after the fight was over. It looked like.
Yeah. Yeah, good fight. Too bad for Luke. He'll be back. UL, what's up next for him? It'll probably be Whitaker. I think. I see Whitaker beating him again, but I mean he could beat anybody. But I think I don't know. If I had to bet, I would. I don't know. Probably Whitaker. I don't know.
Romero's fighting style is pretty interesting because he's like ready to go off, but you don't know when he's going to go off. So I kind of felt the whole time Luke was kind of staying away from him and just kicking him, just waiting for him to basically charge. Yeah. Which is what ended up happening.
Yeah, but that's how Whitaker fights too. So they kind of have a similar style. Luke's more. He's more like he doesn't. He's just he's more. Matter of fact the way he fights. He's not as explosive. But so Yoel, I'd like to see that'd be a good fight. Yoel Whitaker again. So that'd be going.
That's probably gonna happen.
So that was it for that. What else we got?
I don't know. Those were good fights. I think there's some fights coming up this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cerrone against Medeiros. That's a quick turnaround for Medeiros after that last Cowboy Oliveira fight.
The other Cowboy.
God, and that was a brutal bang. That took a lot out of them. I mean, that took a lot out of Yancey because that was a slugfest. So now he's turning around and fighting another guy that fights a lot like him. I think that guy Cerrone is a lot more. He's a lot more sharp, and he's not as. I mean, he's wild. He's not as wild as Yancey, but he does throw a lot, and he has a wild attitude, but his techniques are sharper. Yancey has a wild attitude and wild techniques, so that makes for a wild fight. So to me, Yancey can press it, but since Cerrone has sharper techniques, along with being wild, I could see. I think Yancey has to be really careful for that because he's not just fighting another wild guy. He's fighting a guy who's a lot sharper on the ground and standing. So it should be an interesting fight. Who else on that card?
I think that's in Texas too.
Oh, it says a card right there. And we got Yancey. Oh, we got Thiago Alves. Oh, I love Thiago Alves. That's going to be great. We got the Black Mamba or whatever, Lewis. That should be good. James Vick is fighting again. Tradido. What's his name? But he's really good. I love watching this.
Trinaldo.
Trinaldo. This guy looks like he's like, and I'm not trying to put him down. Trinaldo looks like he's like 60 or 50 or something. He just like has this weathered face, but he has a really fit body. But he has a weathered face like he's like a grandfather. But he can fight, man, and he does not fight like he looks at all. He's a banger. So that'd be a good one from James Wick. I'm really looking forward to that fight. And then Sage Norcutt fighting again. That's gonna be fun. I love watching Is it Super Sage?
Super Sage.
Super Sage. I love watching you fight. It's so fun to watch.
He won his last fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been kind of back and forth, win-loss. So.
Yeah, because he has a style that's beatable, but I mean he could definitely beat you because he puts it all out there, man. Sage is super. I mean I love watching him fight. So that'd be good. That's the main card. Then we got Aguilar versus Sosa on the undercard too. Who else is on the who's on the Fight Pass? Yeah, that's gonna be a freaking war, man. Watching Cowboy Cerrone fight Yancy Medeiros, man. I can't wait to see that.
They're down here.
Oh, yeah. Who is it? I don't know them. I don't even know. I can't really tell. Oh, Berkman's fighting. Wow. That's good. I can't wait to see Berkman fight. Yeah. I can't wait to see Berkman fight. And I'm really interested to Josh Berkman. Berkman's back. All right. Yeah, Berkman's a warrior. He's like the guy on Kung Fu, you know? He's just like travels the world fighting. That's his like life. He has a kid, loves his kid, but then he goes off wandering, trains at different gyms, gets all the knowledge, does yoga, and then he goes and fights. He's a very interesting guy. I love to watch him fight. And Thiago Alves, one of my favorite fighters and favorite people that fights. I mean, he's a great guy. When you listen to Al's talk, you think you're talking to, an American. You know, he's from Brazil, a Brazilian, but you think you're talking to an American. He was born here. He moved here when he was like a teenager, and he has no accent. He speaks perfect English. Such a together guy. I mean, he takes good care of his money. He's got a kid. He's just a really traditional, conservative guy that just does everything right. Everybody likes him. Nobody doesn't like him, and he's built like a Hercules. So that should be an interesting fight. So it's a good card coming up. Can't wait to watch it. We're gonna watch it. We'll watch it at the house.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Talk about it next week.
We'll check it. We'll talk about it next week. If you guys got any questions, you can ask them, and we're gonna be here for you guys. Other than that, thanks for coming. Thanks for being part of our little family here. Start sharing this podcast. This is going to be the biggest podcast in the world soon. All right? I'm serious. Sorry, Joe Rogan, but we're going to be the biggest podcast in the world. So tune in and share it. Thanks for coming.
All right.
See you later.
See ya.